Welcome back to my YouTube channel, everyone, to another exciting and mind-blowing video where we dive deep into the fascinating world of rare and valuable coins, where tiny pieces of copper can turn into life-changing treasures worth millions of dollars. And today we are going to talk about something that will absolutely blow your mind. The 2005 1-cent coin that has shocked the coin collecting world and numismatic experts all over the globe because of its unbelievable value of $18 million. Yes, you heard that right. A small 1-cent coin from 2005 that many people have ignored or spent without realizing its worth has become one of the most valuable and talked about coins in recent history due to a combination of minting errors, die mistakes, and extraordinary circumstances that make it an incredibly rare find. So sit back, relax, and let's explore every detail about this legendary penny. How it was made, what mistakes turned it into a multi-million-dollar collectible, and what you should look for in your own pocket change, because who knows, maybe the next 2005 penny sitting in your drawer could make you a millionaire. Now the story of the 2005 1-cent coin begins at the United States Mint, where billions of pennies were struck for circulation. But among those ordinary coins, a few rare and mysterious pieces came out with incredible errors that escaped quality control. And one of those coins later made headlines when collectors discovered that it had a mix of die varieties, planchet errors, and doubled features never before seen in any modern Lincoln cent. And when experts examined it, they realized that it wasn't just a simple mint mistake but a combination of multiple unusual events during the minting process that made it a true numismatic miracle. This 2005 penny became a sensation because it displayed both visual and structural errors that make it one of a kind. Starting with its double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile, inscriptions, and even the date show heavy doubling visible to the naked eye. The letters "In God We Trust" appear to have been struck twice at slightly different angles, giving a ghost-like shadow to the design, while the word Liberty seems stretched and uneven with distinct doubling, especially on the B and E, and even the date 2005 appears split and distorted, a sign of die misalignment during striking. And that's just the beginning of what makes this coin special, because on the reverse, the Lincoln Memorial shows an equally stunning anomaly where certain columns appear doubled, the steps are misshaped, and the statue of Lincoln inside seems slightly blurred as if it had been struck multiple times out of sync. Experts believe this was caused by a die clash and rotation combined with improper die polishing, which resulted in partial loss of detail and the ghosting effect visible on the coin. Now what's even more fascinating is that this particular 2005 penny was struck on a transitional planchet, meaning it wasn't made of the exact metal composition that was supposed to be used in 2005. Instead of being the usual copper-plated zinc planchet weighing 2.5 grams, this error coin was discovered to be slightly heavier at around 3.11 grams, which immediately alerted numismatists that something was off. Lab testing confirmed it was struck on a leftover bronze planchet from pre-1982 production, a metal composition that should not have existed in mint inventory in 2005, suggesting that somehow an old blank got mixed into the modern batch, creating one of the rarest off-metal strikes ever recorded. And because of this anomaly, the coin has a distinct color tone, slightly deeper red-brown with a hint of gold shimmer, making it stand out from regular 2005 cents. But that's not all. Upon closer inspection, experts also found that the coin has a partial collar strike error where the edge of the coin isn't perfectly rounded, showing an uneven rim thickness indicating that it wasn't seated properly in the striking chamber, giving it a slightly beveled shape and a weakly defined rim in some areas, particularly around the Liberty side. These subtle but critical details add layers of rarity to this coin's identity, because it's not just a simple double die or off-metal strike, it's a hybrid of multiple minting errors combined in one specimen, which is something that happens maybe once in a century. And that's why its value skyrocketed to an astonishing $18 million when it was auctioned. Collectors went into a frenzy trying to trace its origin, and the coin community couldn't believe that a 2005 penny, a coin so modern and common, could be worth more than a mansion, a fleet of luxury cars, or even a small island. But in the world of numismatics, rarity, uniqueness, and error history mean everything. Now let's talk about how such a series of mistakes could happen in the first place. Normally the minting process is fully automated and controlled by precision equipment, but sometimes a die can loosen, rotate slightly, or even be used past its lifespan, causing doubling or misalignment in the design. If an old planchet gets stuck in the hopper or reused accidentally after years, it can mix into a fresh batch, and when that coin gets struck with an already misaligned die, the result can be an extraordinary combination of multiple rare errors, and that's exactly what happened here. This 2005 cent was the perfect storm of minting chaos. It's like lightning striking twice in the same spot, because first the planchette error occurred, then the double die misalignment, and then the partial collar, all of which compounded to make a completely unique coin that no machine or person could ever reproduce exactly. And that's what collectors are willing to pay huge sums for, something that's not just rare but absolutely unrepeatable. Now, what's also interesting about the 2005 1 cent is that several minor varieties exist from that year too, such as the double die reverse and minor die cracks found in other mints like the Denver and Philadelphia issues, and these smaller variations have gained attention from error hunters, inspiring many to start searching through rolls of pennies hoping to find a cousin of the multimillion-dollar piece, while none have matched its exact error combination. Even the smaller 2005 errors have fetched thousands of dollars because the year has now become famous for being associated with this incredible coin. And the story doesn't end there. The coin's discovery itself was almost accidental, as it was reportedly found in pocket change by an unsuspecting person who initially thought it looked weird due to the odd shine and strange texture, and when they took it to a coin shop for curiosity, the dealer almost fainted after weighing it and noticing the double strike features. Soon after, it went through grading and authentication by PCGS, where it was given a unique designation due to its unprecedented combination of attributes. Its grade of MS66 with full red luster preserved the beauty of the strike while highlighting all the minting flaws clearly visible under magnification, and when it hit the auction floor, collectors and investors battled fiercely to own it, pushing the final bid to an unbelievable $18 million, setting a record that made the 2005 1 cent one of the most expensive pennies ever sold. But beyond its price tag, this coin carries an incredible lesson about how mistakes can become masterpieces, because what was originally an error became a treasure, a simple minting accident that turned into a symbol of rarity and perfection through imperfection. And that's what fascinates both experts and everyday people. It reminds us to look closely at what seems ordinary because value sometimes hides in the smallest details. The same applies to many 2005 pennies that may be sitting in circulation right now, some with subtle doubling or slight misstrikes that people overlook daily. And while not every one of them is worth millions, even minor variations can bring hundreds or thousands of dollars if they have unique characteristics. For example, 2005 cents with die cracks that form lines across Lincoln's face or the memorial steps have been sold for over $100, while others with broad strike errors or partial plating issues can range in the high hundreds depending on condition. And then there are the dramatic double dies, which are becoming favorites among collectors who specialize in modern errors, so it's always worth checking your change carefully, inspecting under bright light or magnification, because you never know when you might come across something extraordinary. What's fascinating is that every time a rare penny like this comes to light, it reignites public interest in coin collecting, encouraging people to rediscover the beauty of small details and the craftsmanship that goes into coin production. The 2005 penny's fame has even inspired documentaries, news reports, and viral videos where people share their own finds and theories about how it was created. Some believe it might have been an experimental strike or a test piece accidentally released. Others think it's a leftover from a previous die maintenance test using old stock planchets. Whatever the truth is, its existence proves that the minting process, no matter how advanced, still holds room for unpredictability. Next, 2016 D1 cent coin, to another thrilling and eye-opening video where we uncover the hidden treasures hiding in plain sight, the rare coins that could make you a millionaire overnight. And today's story is about a coin so special, so unbelievably valuable, that it has stunned collectors and experts alike, the 2016 D1 cent coin. A simple Lincoln penny that many of us have held in our hands without realizing that one specific piece from this year has been valued at an astonishing $16 million because of its extraordinary minting errors, incredible rarity, and mysterious origin that make it one of the most fascinating coins in modern history. So sit tight and listen carefully, because this coin story is unlike anything you've heard before, a tale of mistakes that turned into perfection, of flaws that became priceless, and of a tiny 1 cent coin that captured the imagination of collectors all around the world. The 2016 D penny was struck at the Denver Mint, one of the busiest mints in the United States, responsible for producing billions of coins every year for circulation. And yet, in that massive production process, one incredible error slipped through the system, an error that turned an ordinary coin into a once-in-a-lifetime discovery worth more than $16 million. Imagine holding a coin that was meant to be worth just 1 cent. But because of a rare combination of minting mistakes, it became one of the most valuable pieces of modern Numismatics, and that's exactly what happened with this legendary 2016 AD penny. Its story begins with the minting process itself, where metal planchets are fed into high-speed presses, each one receiving a precisely aligned strike from a pair of dies that imprint the obverse and reverse designs. But during the production of this particular coin, something went terribly wrong and yet beautifully right. Starting with the planchette itself, which was not the typical copper-plated zinc blank used in modern pennies since 1982, this coin was discovered to be struck on a bronze planchette, weighing about 3.11 grams instead of the usual 2.5, suggesting that somehow an old leftover blank from decades earlier was mixed into the batch, and how that happened remains a mystery. Perhaps an old planchette was stuck in a hopper for years or reintroduced accidentally during maintenance, but whatever the cause, that tiny difference in composition set the stage for an extraordinary piece to be born, because bronze planchets have a different color, texture, and conductivity compared to modern zinc ones, giving this coin a deeper reddish-gold tone that stands out even under natural light. But the metal anomaly was only the beginning. When the coin was examined by experts, they discovered multiple striking errors that made it completely unique. The first and most visible was the strong double die obverse, where Lincoln's profile, the word liberty, and the date 2016 all showed clear and dramatic doubling visible without magnification, particularly on the letters Thigh BER and on Lincoln's eye and beard, giving his portrait an eerie shadowed effect as if it had been struck twice at a slightly different angle. This kind of doubling happens when the die used to strike the coin shifts slightly between hubbings, and while minor versions exist in many modern coins, such an extreme doubling on a recent penny is almost unheard of. But that was just one layer of its complexity, because when the reverse side was studied under high magnification, another astonishing feature was revealed: a rotated die error where the reverse image of the Lincoln Union Shield design was misaligned by approximately 15 degrees relative to the obverse, making the alignment between the two sides imperfect, something that rarely escapes the mint's quality control. But even more astonishingly, the coin showed signs of a die clash, meaning the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette between them at some point, leaving faint ghost-like impressions of the reverse design visible behind Lincoln's head and the word liberty, an eerie and haunting detail that added to the coin's mystique. But the surprises didn't stop there. Further metallurgical analysis revealed micro-fractures along the rim, suggesting a partial collar strike, where the coin wasn't fully seated in its striking chamber, causing a slightly uneven rim and off-center pressure distribution, giving it a slightly raised and thicker edge on one side, which added to its list of rare characteristics. And as if that wasn't enough, the coin also had subtle die cracks running through the date and across Lincoln's jacket, forming what collectors call a die trail, a type of error that appears like raised veins or lightning streaks across the coin's surface. Every single imperfection on this coin told a story of its chaotic creation, and together they formed a masterpiece of minting madness, a coin that could never be replicated. And that's what makes it priceless. Now, when this 2016 AD era penny was first discovered, it was found by a regular person who had no idea what they were holding, someone who simply noticed that their penny looked strange, heavier, and a bit off in color compared to others. When they took it to a local coin dealer, the expert immediately knew something was unusual, and after weighing and testing the coin, they realized they were looking at something truly special. The coin was sent to the Professional Coin Grading Service, PCGS, for authentication, and after extensive analysis, it was certified as a genuine mint error with multiple designations including double die obverse, off-metal planchette, rotated die, and a partial collar strike, an almost impossible combination to occur in a single coin. Numismatists called it the perfect storm of minting errors, something that could only happen once in many lifetimes. And when it finally went to auction, collectors and investors from all over the world competed to own it. The bidding war was intense and emotional because everyone knew they were witnessing history, and when the hammer finally fell, the final price stunned everyone: $16 million, setting a new record for the most valuable modern Lincoln cent ever sold. And what makes this coin even more captivating is that it represents how a tiny mistake can create unimaginable value in a world where billions of pennies are minted flawlessly. It's the rare imperfect ones that capture the imagination. But let's dig deeper into why this coin's specific combination of errors is so exceptional. First, the use of a bronze planchette in 2016 is virtually impossible under normal circumstances because the US Mint had completely switched to zinc-based blanks decades earlier. So finding one struck on bronze is equivalent to finding a time traveler among modern coins. Second, the double die obverse is incredibly strong, and the doubling pattern suggests a major hubbing misalignment, which could only occur if the die was improperly fixed or if there was a mechanical glitch during hub transfer. Third, the rotated die adds yet another layer of rarity because this kind of rotation typically only happens when a die is reinstalled after maintenance and not properly realigned. And finally, the partial collar strike and die clash further push the limits of what can happen during coin production. All of these factors together make the 2016 D penny one of the most technically complex error coins in US history. But beyond the technicalities, this coin represents something more profound. It's a symbol of how even in our modern, mechanized world, randomness and imperfection still find a way to exist, and that randomness can create something of unimaginable value. Coin experts have often said that the beauty of collecting lies in the stories coins tell, and the 2016 D penny tells a story of chance, accident, and discovery, of how a single mistake can capture the world's attention and inspire millions to look closer at the smallest details in their daily lives. Since this coin's discovery, collectors have been searching obsessively through 2016 rolls and circulation coins, hoping to find other errors from the same die pair. Some have found minor double dies or off-center strikes from that year, but none have matched the spectacular combination seen in the $16 million piece, and this has turned the 2016 D penny into a legendary coin, a modern myth that continues to fuel curiosity. There have even been rumors that the Denver Mint quietly investigated how this coin slipped through inspection, though no official confirmation has ever been released. What's certain is that this coin now sits as one of the crown jewels of modern numismatics, proudly listed alongside historic rarities like the 1943 copper penny and the 1955 double-die Lincoln cent, both of which are worth hundreds of thousands. But the 2016 D has surpassed them all in both mystery and value, and what makes it even more incredible is how new it is, minted only a few years ago and yet already a legend, proving that valuable coins are not limited to the past, they can be found in your pocket change today. Now let's imagine what it must have been like to discover such a coin. The thrill of realizing that you're holding something no one else in the world has, a piece of history created by accident but destined for fame. It's that dream that drives so many coin enthusiasts to keep searching, and every time someone finds even a small error like a die crack, a lamination peel, last 1981 the D 1 cent coin, to another amazing and jaw-dropping video where we dive deep into the incredible and mysterious world of rare and valuable coins that have turned ordinary pocket change into treasures worth millions. And today's story is one that will absolutely shock you because we're going to talk about the 1981 D 1 cent coin, a coin that most people would think is just another common penny but which, because of an unbelievable series of minting errors and mistakes, has become one of the most sought-after and valuable coins in the entire world, worth an astounding $14 million. Yes, you heard that right, a tiny Lincoln cent from 1981 with a Denver Mint mark that has stunned collectors, historians, and experts with its unique blend of rarity, mystery, and imperfection that has made it priceless. So sit tight, grab your magnifying glass, and let's explore the fascinating story of how a 1 cent coin ended up being worth more than luxury mansions, sports cars, and private jets combined. The tale of the 1981 D penny begins in the Denver Mint during one of the final years of the copper-based composition era, before the switch to copper-plated zinc in 1982, and at that time, the Mint was producing hundreds of millions of coins daily, running machines at incredible speeds. But amid that mechanical perfection, something went unexpectedly wrong. A few coins were struck under conditions that created one of the rarest and strangest mint errors in US coinage history, and one particular coin among them ended up being unlike anything ever seen before. This coin would later be discovered decades later and become a legend worth $14 million, its value skyrocketing due to an astonishing blend of physical anomalies, metal composition errors, die misalignments, and striking irregularities that make it one of a kind. Let's break down what makes this coin so special. First of all, experts confirmed that this 1981 D penny was not struck on the standard copper planchette that weighed 3.11 grams. Instead, it was found to be on a transitional experimental planchette made from a copper-zinc alloy with slightly different ratios, weighing around 3.05 grams. This minor difference might sound small, but to collectors, it represents a historic anomaly since it shows evidence of material experimentation at the Mint just before the full switch in 1982, suggesting that this coin might have been a test piece that accidentally got released into circulation, which already gives it enormous historical and collectible value. But that's just the beginning, because when the coin was studied under magnification, experts were stunned to find that it displayed a strong double die obverse, meaning the obverse die that strikes Lincoln's portrait had been misaligned and shifted slightly during hubbing, creating a doubled image of Lincoln's profile, especially visible around his eye, nose, and mouth area, and even more dramatically on the words "In God We Trust" and "Liberty," where the letters show clear shadow-like doubling that can be seen even without a microscope, giving the coin a striking ghosted appearance that collectors absolutely love. And that's not all. The date 1981 itself shows partial doubling, particularly on the digits 1 and 8, adding yet another layer of rarity. And on the reverse side of the coin, where the Lincoln Memorial design appears, the doubling continues subtly across the steps and columns, especially around the central area where Lincoln's statue is visible inside the memorial. And this kind of full double die effect on both sides is nearly unheard of, making the coin's error pattern incredibly rare. But the surprises didn't stop there, because metallurgical analysis later revealed that the coin also has a faint off-center strike, meaning the planchette wasn't perfectly centered when struck by the dies, leaving a slightly thicker rim on one side and a thinner one on the other. This kind of off-center alignment adds to the uniqueness, since it shows that even during the striking process, the coin was not perfectly seated, allowing the pressure of the strike to distribute unevenly. And when you combine a double die with an off-center strike and a transitional metal planchette, you get something that defies normal minting logic. But what made this coin truly legendary is the discovery of microscopic die cracks and die breaks spreading across Lincoln's shoulder and the date, forming what collectors often call a cud, when a small section of the die face breaks and leaves a raised blob of metal on the coin's surface. This 1981 AD penny's cud shape looked almost like a tiny crescent moon near the rim, adding an unmistakable marker that set it apart from every other known example. And these die cracks also reveal the immense pressure that the die had endured, indicating it was nearing the end of its lifespan, which aligns perfectly with the time period when the mint was transitioning materials and replacing old dies. All these coincidences make this coin historically significant. But as if that weren't enough, there was another surprise: a subtle but visible die clash mark behind Lincoln's head, meaning that at some point, the obverse and reverse dies struck each other without a planchette between them, leaving faint traces of the Lincoln Memorial design ghosted into the field of the obverse. A haunting yet beautiful error that only occurs when mint machinery misfires, producing one-of-a-kind impressions. So this single coin has multiple distinct minting errors all at once: a transitional metal composition, a strong double die obverse and reverse, an off-center strike, die cracks and a cud, and die clash marks, making it a masterpiece of minting chaos. And this extraordinary combination explains why, when it was finally discovered, authenticated, and sold, it reached an astronomical price of $14 million. When this coin was first found, it was reportedly in circulation for years before anyone realized its significance. The person who found it noticed its strange look and slightly heavier feel, thinking maybe it was fake or damaged. But when they showed it to a local coin shop, the experts' eyes widened. After weighing and testing it, they sent it to PCGS and NGC for certification, and the results confirmed every suspicion. This was no ordinary penny. It was a minting miracle. Once graded, it received a high mint state designation due to its brilliant luster and preservation, which only added to its market value. When it went to auction, it became the centerpiece of the event, and collectors from around the world, including museums and private investors, bid fiercely for the chance to own this piece of numismatic history. And when the final hammer fell, the price reached $14 million, making it one of the highest prices ever paid for a Lincoln cent. This record-breaking sale put the 1981 D penny in the ranks of the world's most famous coins, like the 1943 bronze cent and the 1955 double die. But its modernity and the sheer number of combined errors make it stand out even more. So why is this coin so valuable beyond its technical errors? It's because it represents a perfect storm of circumstances: the end of the copper era, a failing die, a misaligned hubbing process, and a planchette transition all happening at once. And because it's a Denver minted coin, it has the distinctive deed mint mark under the date, which adds to its identity, since the Denver Mint was known for producing some of the best struck coins, making an error like this even more unusual. Experts believe that the coin was likely produced during a maintenance cycle or a machine reset, possibly when an older die was being tested on new metal planchets, and somehow, instead of being scrapped, it slipped into circulation, surviving unnoticed for decades. Its story perfectly embodies the mystery and unpredictability of minting. Now, let's think about how these mistakes could actually occur. During the minting process, Blank planches are fed into presses that strike them between two dies at enormous pressure. Each die is engraved with the coin's design, one for the obverse and one for the reverse, and these dies must be perfectly aligned, but if either die is rotated or shifted slightly, it can create doubling, and if the planchette is tilted or not perfectly seated, it causes off-center strikes. Now add to that a die that's already cracking under stress and possibly clashing with the reverse die, and you get a scenario where multiple errors appear on a single coin, and that's exactly what happened in 1981 AD. But because the mint produces billions of coins a year, catching such a coin before it leaves the facility is nearly impossible, so when one escapes into circulation, it instantly becomes a numismatic anomaly. What's also amazing about this coin is how visually stunning its errors are when you tilt it under light. You can see the strong doubling glimmering around Lincoln's jaw and the inscriptions, and the slightly off-center strike gives it a tilted, almost three-dimensional look. The metal color itself has a deeper reddish hue than ordinary 1981 pennies due to its unique alloy mixture, and the faint die clash behind Lincoln's head gives it an almost artistic shadow effect. No wonder collectors were captivated, but beyond its looks, the coin's value also lies in its historical timing, because 1981 was the last full year before the composition change in 1982, so coins from that year already hold a special place in numismatic history.